talking about shop management software and how it can improve the overall efficiency and productivity. Tell me about some of those KPIs that shops can.
It's one of those things to where I like to peel that onion back a little bit and think about where our time is spent. And I mean spent, not invested, but where is our time spent in any given day? You can think about it on a day, a week, a month. But if you want to improve your overall efficiency and productivity, you kind of have to know where you sit right now. And studies have been done in seeing where is time spent. And if you were to log every hour of your day, I'm not saying that you should do that, could you put it in a category? And the categories that we typically see in service shops, the 4 functions of a service shop is sales, production, administration, and then classified as leadership, but it's basically working to improve your business. And if you were to look back at your day, maybe it's 10 hours, maybe it's 15 hours, but either way, if you were to categorize that, where does everything fall, right? Sales is the one-on-one time you're working with your customer, whether at write-up, whether it be on the estimate, whether that be at pickup, to better improve that customer's experience and get a yes on how to repair or on what they need to repair their vehicle, whether that be maintenance or a full-on overhaul or repair. Either way, the time that you spend one-on-one with that customer is in that sales function. Well, the production function that's what happens after it's already sold. That's where the technicians come into play. They've got to actually produce the work that gets sold, whether that's an oil change and an air filter or, again, an engine replacement. It does have to get produced. However, what they're producing is what's the outcome of that sales function. 3 is administration. All of the quote unquote paperwork, and maybe it's the electronic paperwork or maybe it's physical paperwork, but all of the things that we have to do or feel like we have to do to keep up on the admin side. And then 3 is that leadership or that business growth portion. And if you really were to categorize every hour of the day, I bet we'd be surprised to find that the majority of our day, 60 to 70%, is spent not making any money. 2 of these 4 functions are actually direct income producing functions. The first of which is sales, right? It's the one-on-one time that we're working to get a yes from our customer, show them what their vehicle needs, get them to the point where they know they need it and say yes so that we can get it produced. What a lot of people find surprising is the production of it is really only producing what was already sold. So you're not making extra money. You're securing the money that you've already made. The admin side is making sure that it gets billed out properly and everything's, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. Make sure nothing can happen is when the customer comes in later on and said, I didn't approve all of that. And the other income producing portion is that growth. How are you working to improve your business? Well, if we were to ask ourselves, where does our time get spent, is probably in the administration side and then in the production side. And very little of it gets spent working on the sales portion and working on the growth of the business portion. And the old cliche saying that I like to say is we let busyness get in the way of business. We hear it all the time. Shop owners are running around like they're chicken with their head cut off, and they're running around putting out fires. That's one of my least favorite phrases is, man, I've just been putting out fires all day. Well, if you're instead of putting out fires, why don't we find the person with the match? And maybe it's an actual person bogging down the process, or maybe it's a step in the process itself. But can you look into a shop management system and find out where those bottlenecks are? Do you know what the average estimate of your shop is? Are we estimating them properly? Are we presenting them to the customers properly? What about technician efficiency? Do we know how many hours we've sold versus how many hours they spent on it? Is the guy taking 4 cigarette breaks per oil change and he doesn't even smoke, right? It's one of those to where we're spending entirely too much time in the production side of things, not being as efficient. What about our close ratios? Do we know what's the most effective closing ratio that we have? Is it when we call the customer? Do we have it when we text the customer, when we email them, when they're waiting, when they're drop-offs? All of those things really help save you steps. And I mean that literally and figuratively. Can we help save steps, right? How often is it that we pick up the phone to call a customer? We're trying to get them to approve maybe a simple brake job, maybe some simple maintenance. They don't answer. So they call us back and we're tied up with another customer. They leave a message. We call them back and they're busy and they don't answer. And all of a sudden it's 4:30. The customer shows up thinking their car's done, but we never actually got an approval on it in the first place. We really haven't done anything over and above what maybe an oil change that they came in for because their vehicle needs further attention. Well, do you have the ability to text your customers from your system? Do you have the ability to email your customers and get that passive approval, meaning they don't have to pick up the phone and call you back to get the approval done. They can do that all from the comfort of their phone. Well, what about the physical steps, right? How many clicks have to happen? How many times does a service advisor have to go back to the shop and the technician have to come up to the front counter and they have to go back and forth time and time again, walking around, when all of that can be taken care of in an effective shop management system, right? There's automated communications. You've got built-in integrations with internal notes, even communication platforms that can be integrated right inside of it that allows you these notifications that pop up and keep everybody on the same page. It consolidates things, that brings it all together, right? We see time and time again shops that have 4 or 5 different systems that they've got to go back and forth in between just to get the same answer. If they just had it all consolidated, it would be built right in. So if you want to talk about improving efficiency, where are your bottlenecks, right? How many different programs, how many different softwares do you use? And do you have a solution that can really bring as many of those into one as possible, right? Built-in labor guides, parts integrations, texting, text to pay, something that allows you to even collect payment via text messages, all with a user interface that streamlines it for you, right? Reduces the amount of clicks, reduces the amount of screens that you have to have open, just makes it as easy as possible for everybody involved in your shop, from techs, advisors, even the customers that you're dealing with on a daily basis.